Welcome back, fellow shop rats. Today it's another Talk About It Tuesday, and we're going to circle around to that money thing again. Just some of the things that I've been observing across the board, not just in the hobby, that I thought would be worth talking about and how we can apply it to the hobby and what we can do. I know it's, a topic we've talked about before, but just seeing things a little differently, and it's just a conversation, so let's just have it if you're okay with that. I'm Mike.
This is My Cars Shop.
It's fresh on my mind today because I'm president of the Chamber of Commerce in our little small town where my business is located, and I know it probably surprises you that a long hair like me might be president of the Chamber of Commerce, but in all fairness, I didn't have long hair when I was elected, and I've been there doing that job for now about 7 years. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. We're preparing for our huge Freedom Festival, which is coming up in a few weeks for celebrating the 4th of July here in the U.S. And we're noticing that, a lot of the things that are funded, we're all funded by donations and grants and things like that. And we're noticing that some of the donations are down, and we're trying to figure out how we're going to put on a festival and that kind of stuff. And we're going to do it. It's going to be fine. But it was interesting to hear from other people in the group what their perspective is and what they're seeing in their realms and in their fields. Not their fields. None of them are farmers. By and large, everybody is noticing the same thing, that money's coming a lot harder for them in their businesses and in their organizations and in their own lives. And one person was commenting that she feels like she's almost trying to live on minimum wage again because things are so expensive. And, well, I think we're all feeling it, and maybe some more than others, because where I live is a very, very poor part of the country and one of the poorer states in the union. But the fact is, we're all dealing with it at some level or another. I mean, just look at the price of gas. It's double and more sometimes what it used to be. I've definitely felt the crunch in my own business, and we're really scrambling to try to figure that out. And we have some hopeful things going, but when you're self-employed, that's what you sign up for. And I've been self-employed since 2001. So, there's that. Win some, lose some, lose some, lose some, lose some, lose some, win some, lose some, lose some, lose some, lose some. It's not really that bad, but, well, maybe it is. And I'm being a smart aleck. I'm not really complaining. I don't have to be self-employed. I could go get a job and actually have to work for a living, too. What I have been observing is there are a lot of toys for sale right now. Some things are really inexpensive. Man, I'm telling you, I wished I had a lot more cash than I do, because I've seen some good deals on some things that I think could be flipped and a little money made, and I'm sure they're low priced because people need the cash and they're just trying to move it to liquidate some assets. So, keep that in mind. If you do have a little liquid asset,
You may try some kale pectate.
or you could take that cash and invest it in something that you possibly could flip if you're willing to sit on it for a while. I was looking through Marketplace on Facebook just a couple of days ago. I need a grill for my Challenger, and I'm always looking for a steal and a deal. And unfortunately, I found one right at a time when I just had to buy new tires for scoops, and there should be another episode coming on that soon. They'll be arriving today. And I had just bought the lathe and a couple of other things that I'm not thinking of right now. So it's like, man, $100. It's a couple hour drive. Oh, it's a good deal. It's in really nice shape. But it's just not in the cards right now. But the good news is I do see them around that price. But if I'm seeing them around that price, occasionally it tells me that maybe at some point I might find one that's a super steal, and if I'm ready, we could jump on that. I'm also looking for a hood for the Challenger, and I have one maybe lined up. I haven't heard from the guy, but then Channel Viewer Glass Close, he's got a '74 Challenger that he's doing, and he bought a replacement hood for his because hood is rusty. Yeah, his hood is rusty, and he said that, or he asked if I would be interested in his hood. Well, it depends how rusty it is, but of course I'm interested. The only challenge is he's up there into Canada and stuff, and I got to figure out, how to make a connection on that and get it across the border and that there stuff. But, we can figure that there stuff out at some point. I'm not making fun of the Canadian accent. I'm from northern Michigan, and that's the way I grew up talking. As a little side note, if you find me being around people from northern Michigan or Canada, that's very much like what I talk like. I fall back into it. But I also lived in the South, and so if you find me around people with a southern accent, you'll find myself falling back into that one too. But it really got me thinking about tightening down the belt and ways we can cut costs, and just reevaluating our expenses, and what are the ways that we could save money or even maybe get ahead. Like, we put in that outdoor wood burner, and our heat bill every year is over $3,000 to $4,000. It's a lot. That wood burner is going to pay for itself in less than 3 years. So that's going to be a huge, huge return on investment. And as cash continues to devalue, having that is going to really pay off, because as cash devalues, then that fixed expense of purchasing that wood unit and my heat bill would continue to go up. You see what I'm saying? Is I'm not very smart with money, but even I can figure that one out. Other ways that I'm looking and evaluating things is, okay, what insurances am I carrying right now, particularly on things relating to the shop. Now, I'm not going to cut my liability insurance or my property insurance on the shop or any of that stuff, but I am looking at some of the other things that we have around, like travel trailer that we're paying insurance on that we don't hardly ever use anymore, and maybe we could save a little bit of money there. Maybe I've got some vehicles licensed or insured that I'm really not using, that we could possibly take off the road and save a little bit of money there. And, well, there's all kinds of ways that we could possibly save just a little bit, and every little bit does add up. Another thing that I'm looking at is, what are the parts that I have on hand that I know 100% I will probably never use?
I probably need to sell those, because as soon as I do, I'll need them.
For example, I have a handful of 340s. Will I use a handful of 340s? I don't know, and I don't know that I'm going to sell any of them, but it does make me think. I've got a boatload of 318s kicking around, most of which run. I've got a handful of 360s. I'm not getting rid of any big blocks, but there's all kinds of stuff that's sitting around that I could look at and say, I could liquidate that. I could sell that. I've got a couple more slant sixes. I just did sell one of those. I have all kinds of other stuff kicking around that if I stop and think about it, I'll realize I'm probably not going to use that, and I could take that and liquidate it and buy something that I can use. We just did that with scoops. We sold the slant six from that motor. We sold the slant six from scoops, and we turned right around and put that money into a set of rally wheels, and didn't cost me a dime when you really think about it, because it was just moving this piece of material to somebody else, and then taking that and bringing this piece of material back in, which is something that I can use instead of something that's eating up a floor space in the back of the shop. And now that I'm not eating up that floor space, I can move other things around. And, well, you see what I mean? It kind of becomes like a snowball. It's not just about the money, although it is, but it also kind of frees up some energy and creativity to redo and rethink. Another thing that I've been thinking about, and I'm sure that the prices are pathetic, but I do have tons and tons and tons of scrap metal that I've accumulated over the years. And, one of these days I could just load all that up and take it in and get $27.6 for that. I know the last time we took something in, I think we took a Saturn in, and it was a complete car. It ran, but it had a rod knock. And we got $90 for it. Sad. But there's other things as well. And of course, the other element in all of that is, what do I have that I could barter with? What do I have that somebody else might need? And what do they have that I might need? And rather than having to do the money thing, we could just do the, you know what I'm saying. It's like what we're doing with the $500 paint job on that truck. My buddy needed his truck painted, and I needed Challenger parts, and it just made perfect sense that he'd just buy the materials and I would donate the 10,000 hours of labor and we'd paint his truck for him.
It wasn't 10,000. I'm being a smart ass.
But the point is, it's a win-win, winner chicken dinner for both of us, because he gets a really nice paint job on his truck for really cheap, and I get parts that I couldn't afford. I think in order to continue moving forward with the hobby and with the things that we're doing, we're going to have to get more and more creative. We're going to have to band together as a community, and we're really going to have to help each other out. I see that particularly being kind of out here in the front in this YouTube thing that we're doing, where people help me out a lot and I like to help them out. But I also see channel viewers helping each other out. And I think that's just cool. Cool is cool as cool. So here's my question to you. What are some ways that you've learned to cut some expenses or earn some extra cash, or creative things that you've been able to barter? Drop it down there in the comments. I'm interested in hearing from you. I'm always looking for other ways to learn. And as we've said before, this hobby doesn't have to be a money game, but it does mean we have to work at it and find creative ways to make things happen. That'll do it for this one. We'll catch you on the next one. Also, drop your suggestions down there for more Talk About It Tuesdays, because I'm always looking for something to talk about, and well, I'm always finding things to talk about. I'm sure I'll never run out of things to talk about, but I want to talk about the things that you're interested in too. Thanks for watching. Oh, I almost forgot.
Rock!